cities, not only the mega cities, the secondary ones, the second tier ones, whatever we want to call them, cities don't work unless there's significant public infrastructure. In order to create infrastructure, investments must be made. You are big in Six Factor on we can't invest unless we have savings. Does Africa have enough savings in order to finance the investment needed for cities to reach the level of scale so that they can actually become productive places? There's this whole principle about agglomeration. We need scale in order to deliver services. But if we don't have the savings in order to fund the investment that is required in order to generate the scale, can we do that? Do we have the capability in Africa in order to deliver that, in your mind?
So Francois, there's a couple of things that spring to mind when you make that observation. The first is, perhaps going back to Hennie's point earlier about the countries that I rambled about, or rattled off, in the beginning, Melbourne, LA, etc. The reason why we're hard-pressed to find African examples, and in fact, we write about this in the report, is the distance between first cities and second cities in the Pan-African context. In almost all of Africa, it is the rule, and we are hard-pressed to find exceptions. You're hard-pressed to find great examples of second cities in the 54, 55, or 56 countries, depending on who you ask. But there is such a wide distance that this speaks in part to a huge infrastructural deficit. So that would be just a backdrop observation. Choose a country at random, Uganda, Rwanda, Angola, and name the second city. Play that classroom exercise. So, is there one? Is usually the response. So that's a derivative point about scale and the second cities. There's a much bigger point, the primary point that you're driving, which is the huge infrastructural deficit, Pan-Africa. The size of the estimated annual deficiency in spending is in the order of about $100 billion, $120 billion. And this stretches all the way from dams to fiber optic cable. And for cities to be viable, these the infrastructure that provides the platform for network industries is vital. Absent those network industries, absent that infrastructure, you don't have the basis for productive enterprise. You had, what do you refer to them as? The places that consume but don't produce.
Low GVA, high
those ones.
High population density.
Yeah. So low GVA. And here too, we find sort of a curse of African economies is they tend to be consumers rather than producers. That's the extractive nature of long entrenched and established relationships. So how do you build these viable cities against a backdrop of huge infrastructural deficits and gaps in scaling that those next places generally don't exist? That's a curse, it's an opportunity. I'll make a third and final point about it is one of the big pieces of evidence that we've got from the success of industries over the last 30, 40 years is that almost invariably industries that have internationalized successfully have done this with clustering. And clusters generally, if you look at the geolocation of clustered industries, curiously, they generally exist in second cities. Mm-hmm. Boston, Massachusetts for healthcare, by way of example, for a throwaway example. I'm tempted to say Nevada for gaming, but I won't go there and I'll get in trouble with Hennie again.